Hey, what's up, guys? Just got through watching Kirk's kind of little response to me. Guess I'll do a quick response to him. Got the YouTube comments loaded up on my TV here, so I'm gonna have to kind of glance over to look at them. Oh yeah, in regards to this is gonna be kind of in regards to the upload I did yesterday, and at the very end when I showed that Buddhist monk story or whatever the hell it was called, um, I should have mentioned that it was completely AI generated from the voice to the visuals. I mean, to me, it's super obvious, and it's kind of sad um that I'm starting to like get used to that. So that's a big reason why I didn't mention it is because I'm just used to that by this point, and it's kind of sad in a way that I've seen so much AI generated nonsense that my brain kind of gets just numb to it. And it would have been a really good example at the time if I would have mentioned it at the time, but I can mention it here, where this AI generated stuff is like just another example of kind of flooding the internet with like garbage data, right? So, um, like I've said, I don't even know if I mentioned this. Oh yeah, the Alan Watts thing where it's it's becoming a little difficult to find Alan Watts lectures that aren't AI generated. So anything from the past like 2 years is suspect. It really depends. Like I'm very familiar with Alan Watts lectures. When I had I forget what that Amazon subscription was called for books, but audiobooks. But I had some Alan Watts audiobooks as well as stuff I downloaded off of YouTube back when I could actually do that. Um, I have like probably like 40, 50 hours of Alan Watts lectures on my phone just as an archive. So I'm very familiar with his lectures, and every now and then I'll run into a lecture that's been made recently. Like when I say recently, I mean maybe like the past, I don't know, month or two, year or so, where it's just stuff that I never heard before, and it's just immediately suspect. And there's people in the comment section too that be like, "Hey, I've never heard this before. Where'd this come from?" Basically accusing the uploader of using AI generated, voice manipulation. So that's that, but just another example of AI generation shenanigans, I guess. Let me read here for a second. Oh yeah, and the men and their standards. I actually intended. I had this in my notes, and I guess I skimmed over it. Where I wanted to mention the movie Shallow Hal, and I've only seen that movie once. And when I saw that movie, I was a teenager. Maybe not a teenager. I think I may have been in my early 20s when that movie came out. But movies like that are put into like the world on purpose as a way to make it kind of like demonize men, right? Like to me, one of my earliest memories, maybe not one of the first movies to start demonizing men. Definitely movies like um, anything with John Belushi in it, like Animal House, anything to make it seem like men are like horny and horrible all the time, right? Shallow Hal's a very good example where it's like, oh, if he just gave the fat girl a chance, right, he can see the true beauty or whatever the fuck. It's that movie is meant for chicks because like I said in my comment section or in Kirk's comment section just now, women are and ladies, look, when I say things like this, um I'm making a generalization, okay? I'm not necessarily talking about you specifically, but most women are stupid and retarded, okay? Just like men, right? Most men are dumb and retarded, but they're dumb and retarded in their own special way. When it comes to women, they have a tendency to let their guard down just around men, especially around effeminate men. They'll let their guard down. And when it comes to movies that get their emotions going, like say for instance a movie like Shallow Hal, where it's like romanticizing this. It does a couple of things, right? It serves a few purposes. For one, like I said, it demonizes men. Um, makes men seem like they're just horny on Maine all the time, which they are. They are. But it's like how do I put this? Let me think for a second. So a movie, after thinking about it for a second, a movie like that is intended to make it seem like men's standards are just like impossible to deal with. Like you have to be like the red pilled guy, Better Bachelor talked about. He said that um men's standards are low. Like women only have to be what was it, nice, pretty, and not fat. Yeah, nice, pretty, and not fat. Which I pointed out, and Kirk agreed with me. It's like no, that's men don't have standards at all, especially nowadays. And Kirk kind of alluded to the this idea that maybe it was always like that. And yeah, I actually agree with him that it was probably always like that. I got my thought got derailed for a second because like I'm a floating head in the shadows. It's kind of funny. So I'm wearing a black T-shirt. You can see my arm. I'm not just a floating head, guys. Maybe I am, but so this better bachelor guy is kind of going along with this narrative, right? He's going along with the shallow Hal. God, how would I put it? I want to make like a fancy kind of name for it, like a shallow Hal fractal, not a fractal, maybe not a fractal. Um, I don't know. I got nothing. I'll think about it. But he's going along with the this idea, right, that most women have in their head as well, that they only have to be pretty or be nice or be not fat, right? Um, that's the God. What's that stupid movie called? Stepford Wives. I'm gonna have to look it up. I'm just gonna go along with that. I think it's called the Stepford Wives, where they just have to be pretty and, be housekeepers. And the stupid women watching the movie are like, oh my god, they're being abused. How could they not see the truth or whatever? Like, can't they see that they're being abused? And so it's like the same kind of kind of stupid way of thinking, right? This better bachelor guy, and like I said yesterday, maybe he's just caught on the fly. When you're kind of caught on the fly, you're gonna say dumb things. Like I was re-listening to my presentation a while ago just to like kind of get a better idea when I want to talk about next, or maybe I missed something and I can bring it up. But I noticed I missay things a lot and like a lot, and I'm like, damn it. I hope nobody either nobody catches that or maybe they weren't paying attention. But I'll say things every now and then that are just not completely false, but I'll say the wrong word just because I'm caught. I'm just doing a presentation on the fly, so you're just having to talk and talk and talk and talk, and eventually you're gonna slip. You're just gonna say the wrong word, and I'm like, damn it. So maybe he just misspoke. That's a possibility. But um, so these movies, right? They just serve that purpose. Shallow Hal and movies like there's a I don't have a huge repertoire of movies I can reference like Matt McKinley does. I'm only really familiar with a few. So Shallow Hal and movies like Animal House, right? The stoner, not necessarily stoner movies, but kind of horny college boy movies that idiots watch and they take it seriously, right? They go, it's like, oh, this is how we have to act, and this is how we're gonna be when we go into college. These movies are, like I said, put out on purpose so that stupid asses will mimic and kind of copy that. And I'm still sticking to my 80-20 rule, where it's like, let's say you have an audience of 100 people. Let's just say you have an audience of 200 people, right? 100 men, 100 women. 4 out of the 5 men are idiots, and 4 out of the 5 women are idiots. And those idiots kind of just go along with this idea of, oh, I gotta be the horny college guy, or I gotta be the loose college girl, or whatever. And this is what sororities are like, right? So it's like they just go along with that, and you'll have that 1 out of 5 person, that 20%. And maybe this number is probably a lot lower, right? But um, I intend to dig into that number a little more. Like when I talked about the comment section with the dog attacks, and it's like seemed to be a 80 pretty consistent 80-20 split of likes and dislikes for either side. It's so weird. That was the weirdest shit I ever saw. I was pretty shocked by that, honestly. But I think that was it. Hold on. I think that's it. In my comment, I mentioned the rats of Nim, those rat experiments that one psychologist did. Very like crazy. It's called Rat City. The Nim experiments. If y'all ever seen the cartoon or the animated film Rats of Nim, that's what that was based on. That kind of social experiment involving rats. It was a rat city. Really disturbing because you can kind of see how we're treated that way as a like a living rat experiment in a way. But in that comment, I guess I'll go ahead and talk about that real quick. In that comment, I mentioned effeminate mice, where some of the male mice would display these qualities of what would we would describe as effeminate men. The kind of men or the kind of guys who just hang out in women's circles just to kind of feed off the energy. And like I said, these men are predators. These guys are predators. And these rats in particular wouldn't try to mate with the females. They would just kind of hang around to be around them. And to me, and all these rats experience like crazy trauma just from their social situation, the close quarters, and I think it was like the rationing of food. Like I'm gonna have to go over it sometime because it's super interesting. And I don't remember the details, but um, it's like it's really obvious that all the rats are just living out some kind of generational curse, and it's everything. All of their actions are just kind of manipulated by what they experienced when they were very young rats, and it was easy to track because I think for a rat to become adult, it's like 3 months or something like that. Something really, really, really easy to lucky uh a measure of time that's really easy to keep track of with these rat experiments, and that's what made it really interesting. So these effeminate rats would just kind of hang around the females, and um, the way I explained it in the comment, it's like social energy, right? Let me read it real quick. Okay, so the rats wouldn't attempt to mate with the females, but attention is energy, and the social slash psychic energy is possibly more valuable than sex. So that's the kind of the main thing, and it goes both ways. And I made a point to say that the exchange goes both ways between men and women. So you'll have effeminate guys getting this female attention, right? And in a way that's currency, it's energy, it's psychic energy. It's more valuable than actually getting laid to these guys. And because that's what they've been kind of conditioned to do as young boys. And it's not just the mothers, it's the whole family that's in on it when it comes to correcting behavior, right? So you have a young boy acting effeminate. In a lot of cases, you may have a male family member attempting to correct the behavior, but all the females are like, "Oh, just let him be how he wants to be," and really, it's just about control. Like the females, when I say females, I mean like the mother, the aunts, and all that in the family. They don't necessarily, they're not actively thinking, "Oh, I want to control this little boy because he's acting effeminate. This is the way I can control." They're not thinking that actively, but behind the mind, behind the curtain, they know that it's weakness, and they like to see. This is really sick, y'all. What the way some females think, and I've witnessed it firsthand, and I'm not making this shit up. Um, if y'all really, any women in my audience, if you really think about other women's behavior, especially when it comes to young boys, when the young boys start acting weak and effeminate, they encourage that behavior because they want them to grow up to be weak and effeminate. They want them to grow up feminine because it's like they get a sick glee from seeing little boys lowered so much, and they become adult males who can't function in society, and they get like a sick pleasure out of it. And I've like witnessed this phenomenon, and it's probably one of the sickest things I've ever witnessed. This is like worse than any kind of fucking war crime you can witness, dude. And that may seem a little hyperbolic, but it's so disgusting. Some of these, especially some of these kind of feminist, more feminist women who just buy into the feminism nonsense to the point where they enjoy seeing little boys suffer. And I didn't mention the boy and girl thing when it came to those dog attacks, but that little boy who got his ear ripped off by that Labrador, the part of the reason that nothing was done about it was because he was a boy as well. It's like I have no doubt because if that was a little girl that got her nose ripped off or got her ear ripped off, they probably, well, they might have put the dog down. That's sad that I have to say might have put the dog down. I don't know if that would have been the case either. Because man, like Kirk mentioned, and he hit it on the head. Um, oh yeah, and I didn't bring this up either. Golly, I'd wish I had brought that up because he brought up this idea of government workers and how they can kind of get away with bullshit. So this stupid bitch of a teacher brought her Labrador onto into the school trip, right? And just because she's some weird government authority figure, she's kind of valued higher than this little boy and his family and his mother, right? Um, this has a lot to do with like the family's clout. Okay, this is fucking sick too. God, there's so many things to talk about. um, when it comes to like, oh man, I could talk about cold cases as well. My wife's really into cold cases. God, I'm all over the place now. So my brain's like going 1,000 miles an hour now. But let me talk about this little boy some more. So this little boy and his mother, or I don't know if the father was ever involved. It was over 10 years ago. So um, this little boy, he not only is he a little boy, and nobody is going to give a fuck about him, but there's a high chance that he didn't have any clout. His family didn't have clout. They didn't have friends. Let's say in law enforcement or a politician or I don't know some kind of government worker who can step in and go, hey, this was fucked up. We're gonna make sure this dog gets put down or whatever, right? So since the cops and the teachers are all up in the dog's ass, right? Because dogs are gods to these people, like they're deified. They're legit deified. Little beings. It's fucking gross. Since that's the case, like they're not gonna do anything about it. And I've witnessed this with cold cases as well, where I can talk about this real quick. My wife follows she used to follow this YouTuber who solves cold cases, just kind of as a hobby. I don't know if he's rich. I know he gets a lot of money from like subscribers and Patreons and stuff. But get some light in here. There, that's a little better, kind of. Hold on a second. Now there's a weird reflection. Oh well. So they could tell it's a switch. Anyway, so there's this. Oh my god, that's super distracting. Hold on, guys. Just turn that off. So cold cases. My wife watches like a cold case guy where he has a small little team of guys. They drive around the United States and solve cold cases that the local cops don't want to bother with, right? And what I noticed a lot is, especially like a lot of times, let's just say 1 out of 5 times, you're gonna have the local cops who just don't want to cooperate. They're just a bunch of assholes, a bunch of sociopaths, a bunch of narcissists, and either that or there's like shenanigans going on involving this case. And a lot of times it involves a car like driving into a lake or a car driving into a river and somebody going missing, like a missing person, right? So these people they go out with their boats and they go around any body of water they can, going by any evidence, any anecdotal evidence that they can, testimonies from people like where was this person seen last. So they search the waters and all that, and they'll eventually they'll find somebody. They're really good at their jobs. Not their jobs, but it's like a hobby, right? They're really good. Um, and every now and then you'll get the local cops who just don't give a fuck, and they're aggressive, and they'll try to use the laws against them to get them out, to basically try to chase them out of town. And you'll have like the family involved is what gets me because every time that happens, it's always a family of like you could tell they're like poor people, like the way they're dressed and the way they talk. Usually, kind of sometimes they're hicks and rednecks, not all the time, but you could tell that they're just people that don't have a lot of clout. They don't have that political clout. They don't know anybody. Just a bunch of nobodies, right? And I noticed that whenever the cops are being uber aggressive and just being total fucking assholes, the family of the missing person are just like kind of lower on the social tier, like really low. Maybe even like bottom of the social tier when it comes to that little town they're from or whatever. And this is my point where it's like if you don't have the clout, if something happens and you don't have the proper clout, um there's just a high probability that it's nothing's going to come about. The police aren't going to give a fuck. The local politicians aren't going to give a fuck. And that's just the sad truth. And it's fucking sick. Like I don't know, man. This I know I'm being real negative right now, but it's like um I don't know. Just all that kind of just got me thinking about things. I'm trying not to be so dour because life is amazing. Like life is truly amazing. It's like a clown show. It's a circus, dude. You and I both agree to be here. Anyway, I think that's it, y'all. Take it easy.